welcome to News Tonight here on GHOne Television. I'm Bernice, Abu-Baidoo, Lansah. Coming up this hour, government instructs heads of institutions to annul recruitments made after December 7. And pockets of violence witnessed as delegates elect new Council of State members. Later in the bulletin, is Parliament possessed? Could that be the cause of the chaos and disorderliness?
The next prayer meeting should be held on the floor of Parliament. There may be something inside there that has to be exorcised.
And in business, we engage an economist as President John Dramani Mahama instructs the Minister for Finance to bridge the funding gap caused by the suspension of USAID. You want to stay for details of these and more. I'm grateful for your company this evening. Let's delve into the stories now. And the Chief of Staff, Julius Deborah, has issued a statement revoking recruitments made into the public service after December 7, 2024. In a write-up sent to all heads of government institutions, heads were instructed to revoke the appointments of these persons who were recruited into public sector roles after the 2024 general elections. Specific reasons for this decision have not been detailed. We've been joined by Mr. Vitus Azim for more on this. Good evening. I'm grateful that you could join us here on News Tonight. Now, prior to the transition, we saw that this issue came up. It was highlighted by the NDC side on the transition team, and they had sent a threat. Now we see it's being effected in full force. Would you call this a right decision?
It may be a right decision, but the implementation may be problematic because recruitment processes start long before the day that you issue your appointment letters. So if some people's recruitment process were started long before the issue of appointment letters, those are okay. But if they were rush appointments just after the election because the NPP had lost the election, they want to bring more of their people into government, that one, yes, it's a right decision for the government to take. Because these are people they're bringing in to compensate the party faithfuls for either losing the elections or for supporting the party but being unsuccessful. So it depends on how you look at it.
Ideally, how would you wish that this were handled? Unfortunately, we don't have all the details. Would you rather prefer a mass annulment of all the recruitment, or government could possibly go into the merits of these recruitments case by case?
I think we need to go into the individual cases and determine whether there is justification for those appointments or not. Like I said, if a recruitment process a long time ago, if you advertise for the recruitment of a managing director somewhere in August or September or October last year, and then it gets where the board is supposed to approve and the board does not approve, and finally the board approves, I think it's unfair to the people involved to just say, okay, we are not accepting the appointment.
All right.
Because the NDC did it. They will go for you. And you wait for Shaq. They were appointed in the 2016 elections when the NDC had, but they were appointed. And those appointments. So the same way, that should be the situation. You need to look at when were the recruitment process, and then before you can.
Just when you were concluding that statement, could you rehash it, please?
I am saying that the NDC made appointments after a loss in 2016. So if after a loss in 2016, so if any appointments processes were started long before the elections, it would be unfair to say that those people should be annulled. Those appointments are annulled.
Right.
You have to depend on you have to look at them and see whether it was okay, it was not okay.
Now, let me just go over that statement again. And like I indicated earlier, we are not given further details. But basically, in that letter signed by the Chief of Staff, it begins by saying, consistent with government pronouncement in relation to near end of tenure appointments and recruitments, I wish to bring to your attention that all appointments and recruitments made in the public services of Ghana after 7 December, your cooperation in this matter is greatly appreciated. And that's how it ends. But let's go back to the transition era where this issue came up again, and the then Information Minister, Fatima Abubakar, did say that government at the time was acting within the law and within its authority. In fact, she makes statements suggestive of the fact that when it comes to the health sector, for example, there were notices announced and that the Interior Ministry and Health Ministry, I quote her, had already put out public releases informing nurses to go onto the portal and start their recruitment processes. So there are those who are suggesting that these persons who have been recruited must take this matter up and test the law on it. Would you suggest saying?
That's what I'm just saying, that if the recruitment process were started long before the elections, it would be unfair to say that they don't matter. They matter, and we need to look at them. But if just after elections they decide to bring people in because you lost the elections, that's where I have a problem with.
My specific question is: should these persons go to court over this matter?
No, I think that the government should look at them individually and avoid going to court. Otherwise, the courts will be overwhelmed with cases of that nature. It's not just one person, not two people. But I think that especially the top management of certain institutions, you need to look at it.
But a class action could be taken.
That's why they have asked them to give reports on this. Now, when they give reports and the reports justify those appointments, like if there was a vacancy of a managing director, a deputy managing director, long before the elections, and they had advertised and started a process of recruiting them, then there's a different matter altogether. Some we have to get approval from the Council of State. So if it was pending the Council of State, then it would be unfair to say that when the Council of State finds it, okay, go ahead, it shouldn't be accepted.
I'm grateful for your time this evening. That's Vitus Azim sharing his sharing his thoughts on that directive from the Office of the President, asking heads of institutions to revoke and annul all appointments and recruitments made after the December 7 elections. It's now time for Insight. Tonight on Insight, we focus on the Council of State elections, and the police is on a manhunt for individuals who stormed the Ashanti Regional Coordinating Council, disrupting the Council of State elections and destroying electoral materials. The election, which involved 86 delegates from various municipal and district assemblies, choosing a rep from 12 candidates, was thrown into turmoil when violence broke out during the sorting out of ballots.
Assault in progress at the Ashanti Regional election for a Council of State representative. One candidate, Nana Abu-Baidoo, had his pile of ballots seemingly outnumbering those of his competitors. Noticing this trend, Baidoo's agent, known as Obo, reportedly signaled supporters, prompting jubilant cheers from the crowd. However, the reaction from his supporters raised suspicions among opponents, particularly those backing the ruling party's candidate, former Ashanti Regional Chairman of the NDC, Yao Owusu Obimpe. Then, a group of unidentified men stormed the venue, violently disrupting the process. EIB Network's Ashanti Regional Correspondent Isaac Justice Bediako reported that the assailants vandalized ballot boxes, tables, and other electoral materials, effectively halting the election. Despite the presence of police officers at the venue, intervention was limited. The results of the election remain inconclusive.
Let's head to the Ashanti region now. Isaac Bediako is among there. He joins us with an update. Rather unfortunate scenes we are seeing from the Ashanti region. Isaac, did the process continue? What's the latest you can report?
Well, it was quite chaotic, and so the EC official and even the regional director has to run for cover. And so after that, they couldn't return to the regional coordinating council where the election actually took place because they destroyed all the electoral materials, including the pink sheets and the ballot papers. And so they had to leave the place. As we speak, we don't know when the EC is going to fix another date for the elections to be held in the region.
Who spearheaded the violence?
Hello?
Hello, Isaac.
Yes, I'm listening.
Has the police made any arrests so far?
No, not a single arrest has been made so far. But what I have heard from the police is that because they were not fully armed and also looking at how angry the guys are, they tried to manage the situation to calm them down. But their cameras have captured a lot of them. And so at the appropriate time, they will conduct investigations to arrest these people. But as we speak now, not a single person has been arrested. And right from the regional coordinating council where the incident happened, the angry the ND supporters actually moved to the electoral commission's office, where one gentleman who I'm told is a security was assaulted inside the office. They moved to the EC office and attacked a staff there because they think there was a lady. So one of the EC officials, who is a lady they suspect, was playing some role in what they describe as election rigging tactics. And so they wanted to assault her in the process as well.
So as it stands now, we don't know when the election is going to resume. But have the contestants been speaking, those who are putting themselves out to be elected as Council of State members? They have supporters, some of which may have involved themselves in these chaotic scenes we are seeing now. Has any of them been speaking?
In fact, what happened, everybody has to run for cover. So after the police managed to restore calm at the place, not a single aspirant was cited around for the media to even try to engage the person. But I spoke to the agent of the Nana Cancer Board, the person of Abu, and he told me that his boss was winning. And so with what they have seen, any time that the EC organize the election again, they are going to win. So tonight they are going to organize a party. Then he sat into his vehicle and left. We are trying to find out from the NDC what their position is so far as this is concerned, but none of the executives is prepared to speak to me on this particular incident.
I appreciate your time there. That man in the Ashanti region, Isaac Justice Bediako, giving us an update on that incident which occurred earlier today. If you just joined us, the news is that as it stands now, the Ashanti region doesn't have a rep at the Council of State because the election was disrupted by some violence perpetrated by supporters of persons who were putting themselves out to be elected. Let's stay a while on the Council of State elections. A traditional ruler of the State traditional area, Nene Drolo Boso Adamte I, has by a landslide victory emerged representative of the Greater Accra region at the Council of State. The election, which was marked by chaos due to a clash between delegates, saw swift intervention from the Ghana Police Service. That's more in the following report.
The peaceful voting process for the representative of the Greater Accra region at the Council of State, which ended at 12:19 p.m. after almost 4 hours of delay, nearly turned into a free-for-all battle when the regional director of the Electoral Commission was about declaring the electoral results as delegates began exchanging fists among themselves, leading to both front banners vacating the auditorium. The swift intervention of the Ghana Police Service brought tempers under control. The voting process, initially scheduled to commence at 7 a.m., was delayed until 11:50 due to the late arrival of delegates at the Accra Metropolitan Assembly Auditorium, which served as the polling center. However, the leading candidates, Nene Drolo Boso Adamte I and Ni Afote Agbo, assured the delegates to stay and cast ballots, as the two kept convincing them to vote in their favor.
And wouldn't take you for granted, but we extend honor to you and be there when you need them, day or night. I'm asking you to give me permission to represent you, serve you, and also to add quality voice to your voices, and also support to move the interest of making Greater Accra one of the safest, strongest, and prosperous communities within our country.
With all humility, I've offered myself to be voted for, to represent you at the Council of State, so that we can push for more better things with my expertise and the experience that I've had, so that development in terms of human development, physical development would be moved to the higher level.
The Minister for Local Government, Chieftaincy and Religious Affairs, Ahmed Ibrahim, who was present alongside the Regional Minister, Linda Oklu, to observe the polls, urged all contestants to put their differences aside and foster unity and cohesion to drive regional development.
As Local Government Minister, together with my sister, Honorable Linda Oklu, the Greater Accra Regional Minister, we are ready to make sure that all the contestants, those who withdrew from the race, those who remained in the race, those who have lost, and those who have won, will bring a regional cohesion. There must be a regional meeting where all the stakeholders will come together. It is not good story always to hear that, oh, there was election in Greater Accra and there was chaos. This will never happen.
The contest featured 13 contestants, with 2 persons withdrawing and 58 delegates casting their votes. Nene Drolo Boso Adamte secured a decisive victory with 40 votes, while his closest contender, Ni Afote Agbo, garnered 16 votes, and Samatan Ampom secured a single vote with 1 rejected ballot.
Now let's head to the Eastern Region. Former Eastern Regional Women's Organizer of the NDC, Evelyn Krang, has been elected representative of the region to the Council of State. She secured 17 votes to emerge victorious over 23 other candidates. The election initially suffered a delay due to the failure of some 66 delegates to report at the venue for the election to commence.
Former Eastern Regional Women's Organizer
of the National Democratic Congress, Evelyn GHOne, has emerged as the Eastern Regional Representative of the Council of State after securing 17 out of 66 votes in a highly competitive election. He triumphed over 23 other candidates, including 3 women, in a male-dominated contest. Evelyn GHOne was declared the winner by John Appiah, the Eastern Regional Director of Electoral Commission. In her victory speech, Evelyn GHOne pledged an open door policy promising to work collaboratively with all stakeholders to advance the interests of the region and the nation.
And I said my doors will be open 24/7.
Eastern Regional Minister Rita Akosua-Giawati expressed excitement over GHOne's victory, particularly as it marked the election of a female Council of State member in the region. She emphasized the importance of a strong Council of State to support President John Dramani Mahamat's agenda to reset Ghana.
All the assembly members for a very peaceful election. I want to thank everybody here for giving us this very beautiful atmosphere to conduct this election. And thank you people for adding another woman to make the election.
For GHOne TV and Star FM, Lansah, Eastern Region.
Now let's analyze the elections that occurred across the country, and the Chamber of Local Governance has attributed the unfortunate incidents of violence in some of the regions to the over-politicization of the Council of State elections. Dr. Richard Fiadumo is president of CHALOG, and he joins us for more on this. And I know that you've been observing, Doc, the elections as they happened across the country. Unfortunately, in the Ashanti region, we still don't have an elected rep at the Council of State because of violence. You strongly believe that this is because we've highly politicized the process? How so?
Thank you very much.
Hello, Doc. Unfortunately, we seem to have a challenge with Doc's line. Dr. Fiadumo is president of the Chamber of Local Governance, and we were just engaging him about the violence recorded at some voting centers during the election of Council of State reps, and I'm told he's back now. Hello, Doc, if you can hear me. I'm just asking you to justify your assertion that we are seeing these incidents of violence because the process of Council of State elections has been highly politicized.
Yeah, thank you very much. I was just explaining that if you look at the persons who put up themselves for election as Council of State members, you could see clearly that NDC, and then you have NPP members as well. And if you see, we all watched the video from Ashanti region, you saw the former education minister and other NPP bigwigs there, and then you also saw NDC members. The question is, the persons for whom they were elected to be, what is their job supposed to be? They are supposed to be the advisory body of the president, His Excellency John Dramani Mahama. So I find it very unthinkable that you have persons who are members of the NPP wanting to go into the Council of State.
But Doc, I'm sorry to interject, but the law doesn't bar anyone from putting themselves up because they belong to a certain political party or they are supporters of a certain candidate or so, right? So are you then suggesting that we go down to the root of this? Are you suggesting an amendment of the law?
Yeah, clearly so. Because you see, if I'm an NDC member and NPP is in power, and I want to go and be advising the NPP government on what? The question is, if the president wants to do appointment and other things, if the issues about policy, he goes to the Council of State to consult them for advice. So if you don't believe in the ideologies of the NDC, you don't believe in the ideologies of the NDC, on what basis are you going to advise the president who is an NPP member, who is an NDC member? If you are an NDC member, are you going to advise the president for you to perform well so that your government will remain in opposition for long? If you are an NPP member who wants
Too bad we lost Doc there. He was just buttressing his point on why he thinks that, or why his organization, that's the Chamber of Local Governance, believes that the Council of State elections has been heavily politicized along partisan lines. So, Doc, sorry, you were just saying that you were just giving us more details to your assertion.
Yes, for me, I am just saying that sometimes the law is there. But if today you want to be an advisor to the president, yet you don't believe in the ideology of the president, the NDC campaigned on the 24-hour economy. The MPP did not campaign on the 24-hour economy. So on what basis will an MPP member want to put himself up to be advising the president on 24-hour economy? So clearly, for me, if an MPP member is even to win as a member of the Council of State, I dare say that he will be declared redundant if he goes to join. Because from what we see, the Council of State, there's a criteria for appointment. The president will appoint 11 people onto the Council of State. Obviously, all those 11 persons are going to be members of the NDC. Even the former Chief Justice, the former IGP, the former CDS, they are all going to be members of the NDC who are going to be appointed by the president.
Doc, I think that those are quite. Sorry, Doc, I have to interject. But saying that a former IGP, a former Chief Justice, a former Chief of Defense Staff will all be members of a party, I think that will send us into another session of debates that we don't have to go into, because we know that all these people are supposed to be, not supposed to be.
If you watch the NPP Council of State, look, they are today. Isn't there a military man who today has been appointed to go and be the Director General of the Kapoha?
So are you then suggesting? Sorry, we quickly have to wrap up. The line is not favorable, Doc. But are you then suggesting that every appointment made into the security services then is done along partisan lines? And quickly in wrapping up, based on what you're telling us tonight and all the arguments you're raising, do you agree then that probably it's time we scrap the whole Council of State and look at other ways of getting the president to be advised?
For me, don't get my argument wrong. I'm saying that if you ask the president to nominate people onto the Council of State, there is no way the president will appoint his political opponent. Even where the law says that it should be the former Chief Justice, former IGP. There are former IGPs today who are MPP, and there are former IGPs today who are NDC. Why do you think that the IGP, the former IGP who served in the immediate Council of State, you don't expect John Mahama to nominate him again? He's going to nominate another former IGP who maybe belong to the NDC. All I'm just saying is that you are going to advise the government of the day. So if you do not believe in the ideologies of the government of the day, why do you want to be an advisor to that president? When you do that, you are rather killing your party. Because you either go and let the president succeed and his party is going to win the 2028 elections. So I don't see why MPP members, and if NDC is to lose any future election, I don't see why NDC members who want to be members of the Council of State to advise the president whose ideology they do not believe in.
Right.
Assuming the MPP have won the immediate past elections, there is no way NDC people want to be advisors to Alhaji Bawumia. And for me, it doesn't make sense. But to your substantive question on the Council of State, for me, I think that if there should be measures to look at the Council of State, the Constitution, and give them more powers, if they are going to be there and only to be consulted by the president, and the president does not go to them for approval, the president goes to consult them.
Right.
So if the president consults them and they cannot stop anything or they cannot disapprove of anything the president is putting out for it, then I dare say that in the current dispensation or our current governance, the Council of State will not be as effective as you and I want it to.
Thank you very much for your time. Dr. Richard Fiatubo is president of the Chamber of Local Governance, and he's been just sharing his thoughts on the incidents of violence witnessed in some parts of the country. Now, let's just run you through the elected Council of State members so far. And we have Pe Dutindili Adiali Ayagitam III. He will represent the Upper East region. Michael Kwame Mumuni, Upper West region. We have Ochre Yao Ahafu region. Pemapem Yao Cabrese, Bono East region. Michael Edu, Western North region. And as you just heard, for the Ashanti region, it has been withheld because the election process didn't end. And for Savannah region, we have Tingaurua Alhaji Sildu Samsing Abudu. For Western region, we have Dr. Maxwell Boache. Eastern region, Evelyn Krang. Alhaji Mumini Mohammed for the Northern region. Nene Drolo Boso Adamte I for the Greater Accra region. Gabriel Kwabla Tanko for the Volta region. Dr. Kusi Boache, Bono region. Hakim Adai, Central region. Richard Kings Atiku for the Oti region. So there you have it, persons elected so far, outstanding Ashanti region. And that's how we end Insight on News Tonight. Thank you so much for staying here on Newsnight. I'm Bernice, Abu-Baidoo, Lansah. Now, President John Mahama has urged members of the 120-day social contract task force to stay focused on their respective sectors and work with dedication to meet all targets within the set time frame. Speaking at the inauguration at the presidency, President Mahama emphasized the urgency of their mission, stressing that diligent execution and sector-specific focus are key to delivering the goals outlined in the ambitious 120-day plan. Presidential Affairs Correspondent Abdul-Hanan Adam reports.
The team assembled by President Mahama consists of 19 ministers, with Valerie Sawyer, a senior presidential advisor on governance, serving as chair of the task force. Their mandate is to execute 26 critical interventions within a designated time frame of 120 days. Key priorities for the task force include scrapping of draconian taxes like the e-levy, COVID levy, a 10% tax on betting winnings, and the emission levy. These measures aim to alleviate economic hardships and reduce the high cost of doing business in the country, as well as addressing vital sectors such as education, health, and job creation in fulfillment of the commitments made by the government prior to the December 7, 2024 elections.
Some are 90 days, some were 14 days. Assemble a full cabinet within 14 days, we achieved that. And then some are within 90 days. Others necessarily must go with some things. For instance, the removal of some taxes and rationalization of taxes can only be in the budget, because you need to do revenue measures and put those tax instruments before Parliament.
With high hopes for a better future as pledged by the government, President Mahama urged the task force to concentrate on their specific areas to ensure the successful execution of the 120-day plan.
All of you are supposed to focus on your sectors and work so that we achieve all the targets that we set ourselves in the 120-day plan. The Senior Presidential Advisor on Governmental Affairs is the chair and leading that effort. So you have to work closely with her so that we can make sure that we are faithful to the mandate that the people of Ghana gave us.
Meanwhile, the chairperson of the task force and senior presidential advisor on governance, Valerie Sawyer, reassured the president of the team's dedication to delivering effectively on their objectives.
Each promise is birthed with deep thinking, painstaking calculation and consideration of various permutations to ensure they are viable, doable, and sustainable. We know your word is your bond and will betide anyone who stands in the way of the performance of your promises to the people of Ghana. So therefore, we pledge to use our utmost endeavors to ensure that we perform on the mandates that you have given us. We will not fail you. We will not fail the people of Ghana.
Reporting for GHOne News, Abdul-Hanan Adam, Presidency, Accra.
Now, government has highlighted its achievements in the first 30 days of President John Dramani Mahama in a documentary televised on various stations across the country. Here are highlights.
In the first 120 days in office, we will hold a national economic dialogue to draw up a 4-year fiscal consolidation plan. We would rationalize taxes, abolishing, among others, the obnoxious e-levy.
Congratulations, Mr. President.
His Excellency, President John Dramani Mahama, signed a social contract with the good people of Ghana to reset the damaged economy with an all-hands-on-deck approach, improving governance, restoring public trust in institutions, and improving people's living conditions are huge tasks for any government.
Is the hope we need. He's the hope. He's the hope for Mother Ghana.
His 120-day social contract encompasses 26 key initiatives. These include economic reforms, governance standards, prudent expenditure, justice and compensation, policy reviews including education, and the fight against corruption.
As for recovering any loot, it must be on top of the agenda of any government, because corruption bites so hard. This work that I do, the fact that people amass so much wealth and deprive others, that is why we get the kinds of vulnerabilities we see. The link is so direct.
National security and safety are key on President Mahama's agenda. This pledge is tied to the implementation of the 24-hour economy policy, and he has the full support of the heads of security agencies who pledged full allegiance before his visit to Boku and Nalerigu on Tuesday, January 14th, 2025, exactly a week after his inauguration.
Mr. President, I want to assure you that we are going to continue with even greater zeal to ensure that we maintain the security and stability of this country.
More women have found themselves in President Mahama's new government, which will operate with fewer ministries, a slash from 30 to 23.
Right from choosing Professor Nana Jane as his running mate, and Nana is quality, we know. I mean, there's no perfect human being, but she's quality. Because of my interest in women's empowerment, I am very happy to see that he's really working hard to include women in his appointments.
So those are highlights of government's own assessment of itself. But what's the perspective of the Ghanaian on the president's first 30 days in office? Some of you have been speaking to GHOne News.
I just want his first 120 days as he promised to elapse so that we can make a proper assessment of what they are doing and then how far they have brought the country from where they took it from. What I'm disappointed in is the fact that all the prosecutions the previous government started has been cancelled since he came. So we're just waiting to see what he has in stock for us as Ghanaians.
30 days, I think so far the initiatives he's bringing up, he's on the right track, so we are wishing for the best.
The early days, Mahama has done so well. Actually, he has exceeded my expectations with how the whole oral team have worked, with the whole setting up a committee to handle or to prevent the doom. So he has actually exceeded my expectations. So we are looking forward to more of what he'll do. But so far, he has been great. I think I'll give him a 10 out of 10 so far.
Doing everything he can to meet up to the expectations that he set. And all of the things he stated, he has to, one way or the other, fulfill them. So I feel like he's working. But it's all about the consistency. So we are looking forward to him staying consistent with everything he said he'll do. So that's what I feel.
So far, nothing really has been done. He has now set up his government machinery, and he's now trying to put his structures in place and then implement his policies. So I don't think that Ghanaians will be able to assess him much better for now. But for me, even though it's early days yet, I'm a bit disappointed, not even a bit, but disappointed in the cases that the Attorney Generals has been dropping so far. I mean, because if you came in to really protect the public purse, I think that right from the beginning we should see something. You don't just come in and appoint the Attorney General and begin dropping cases.
Now from the executive, let's head to Parliament, and Speaker Alban Bagbin has questioned why incidents of chaos and disorder in the chamber have all occurred in his absence. According to him, there seems to be something about his deputy speakers that causes the House to descend into disorder at the slightest misunderstanding. The latest occurred when Second Deputy Speaker Andrew Siama was presiding, leading to heated exchanges, including the controversial daughter of a murderer remark. Speaking at the Speaker's breakfast prayer meeting with the clergy, Speaker Bagbin argued the Supreme Court's ruling, which allows deputy speakers to preside and still participate in voting, has further polarized the House. The former Nadoli Kalio MP also announced a spiritual solution to the problem. There's more.
The 8th Parliament began with chaos as MPs exhibited unparliamentary and dishonorable behaviors. analyst argues that the hung nature of the House created the atmosphere for constant disagreement and near fisticuffs. With the dissolution of that parliament and the inauguration of the 9th, many were hopeful that the convincing NDC majority will put an end to the unfortunate incident of chaos. That hope was short-lived, as the House will soon plunge into series of walkouts by the minority, song chants, and the unfortunate culmination, destructive, chaotic, and violent scenes during a veteran session. The Speaker quickly sprung into action, suspending 4 MPs, a decision he would later reverse at the setting up of an investigative committee. Well, even before the committee submits its report, the Speaker may have found a lasting solution.
The next prayer meeting should be held on the floor of Parliament. There may be something inside there that has to be exorcised. We will not take it for granted. We'll get inside there and get it out. Where I sit, and these great men and women come to me in private, the way they present themselves is different from what they do inside. And so I keep on thinking, what is inside there? And the great men and women of the gospel will testify when they are with you in your church. And then you see them in the parliament. If that is the culture of politics, then we really need God to descend and once again salvage us.
What physical effort failed to achieve will be done supernaturally. Only time will tell.
And we'll keep our eyes on Parliament to see if the spiritual problem the Speaker perceives will be solved by the prayers. Now, Parliament has summoned Minister for Health, Kabna Mintakanda, over recent outbreaks of cholera and cerebrospinal meningitis. This follows an urgent statement by Minority Leader and MP for Ifuta, Alexander Kwamina Afenyo-Marking, who raised concerns about the cholera outbreak in his constituency.
Mr. Speaker, it's been reported that 412 cases of outbreak of cholera in the Futu municipality has taken 3 lives. The Speaker, currently we have the affected people in the Winneba Municipal Hospital, the Winneba Health Center, and the UUW Clinic. Mr. Speaker, the facilities there are very stressed. Most of these cases are coming from the shores of Winneba, the Inshona. The central government must immediately intervene to save lives. The people are suffering.
Likewise told my communicators that when you go onto the community radio or information centers, tell people that there's cholera around. And when I was doing the campaign too, by the time I'm done talking to you, I also tell them the same thing. Because sometimes people have to be reminded, and maybe they may not take it that serious. I said, please just try and eat hot food. That's the simplest solution to this. So I would plead with anybody here, most of us for a central region, where this cholera epidemic is happening. It can actually be anywhere at all.
More than half of the districts in central region have been, recording cholera cases. Mr. Speaker, we have to do something. Our health system must be able to respond to this outbreak and contain the disease. It has the potential to spread to all the regions in this country.
This is News Tonight with me, Bernice, Abu-Baidoo, Lansah. Coming up shortly in business, we'll be engaging an economist on President John Dramani Mahama's directive to the finance minister to bridge the funding gap caused by the suspension of USAID. Has instructed Finance Minister Dr. Casey Alatoforsen to take urgent measures to bridge the funding gap resulting from the suspension of the United States Agency for International Development, USAID, funding program. In a statement signed by presidential spokesperson Felix Kwachiofosu, the president expressed deep concern over the estimated $156 million shortfall. Of particular concern is the projected $78.2 million deficit, which threatens critical interventions including malaria prevention, maternal and child health, family planning, reproductive health, nutrition, and the fight against HIV/AIDS. The availability of antiretroviral drugs, testing and prevention programs is also at risk due to the funding disruption. President Mahama has directed that immediate bridging arrangements be made to prioritize these key areas to mitigate the adverse effects of the USAID funding suspension. Sincere apologies, we are unable to engage that economist, as stated earlier. We'll do so in subsequent bulletins. But the Public Relations Officer of the Commercial Motor Riders Association, Solomon Apanaba, has lauded government's effort to regularize their business. This comes after government directed the National Road Safety Authority to regulate commercial motor riding within the next 3 months. Speaking in an interview on Newsroom, the PRO reassured the public that trained and certified members will assist in identifying unqualified and unprofessional riders. This will ensure accountability within the industry.
If Okada is said to be regularized, no policeman should ask a license from a rider. They should rather ask for training certificate so that it will indicate where the person was trained and if the person was trained. Henceforth, commercial motorbike guys, their number plate will indicate same, just as we have commercial cars, taxis, trotro, etc. The riders should all operate under unions, so that when there is a crime or an issue that we want to track a particular rider, we will do it from their leadership, or we will tackle it from their leadership. This one is going to bring total discipline on the road, because all those who are reckless, we the good guys will help the police to get them out of the road for us.
We'll bring you sports shortly.
Pascal is showing his boss the efficient new technology.
All right, we're welcome to the sports segment here on News Tonight. My name is Joel Champon. Let's start off with Asante Kotoko, and the interim management committee chairman Nana Pinkra has firmly stated that the club will not participate in the football activities until Ghana Football Association, the GFA, fully addresses their proposals. In response to the incident in Nswatre, Kotoko suspended all football-related activities.
To hell with protocol, one country, one punch and ammonia. Ever down, yeah, the app and security measures near here, for any app. And sorry, that was. Then that's a problem, never body wrong. Send any chain, I probably am ready to cry that. But until then, and what you have naturally say, you're ready. Into sound channel, Emma Ukibin, as I'm a train the car. Now, a papa talk show. Now, we did. We will leave no stone unturned. We will make sure you put all lengths available to us. Now, Omo inciting against our inciting the supporters against us. Now, about this time, we expect to say GFA when it's to pro into the whole situation. And so much you want to pass a letter and a fine. Fine, no problem, fine, you will proper, somebody who didn't take out. You can't tell us, you see, I don't know, Jan Baby. I don't know why. But Jan Baby is good to be there and fine. One could be here, so it's a review.
All right, so that was the interim management chairman of Kumasi Asante Kotoko. Let's now bring you what is happening inside Nswatre with regards to what the court is saying so far. The district court B in Sunyani has remanded 2 other persons and also granted a 300,000 Ghana cedi bill to 2 ladies with regards to what really ensued in Nswatre concerning the demise of Kumasi Asante Kotoko's fan, Pole.
I think this type of hooliganism because it's so inhuman. We don't have to do this type of things. And, you know, the outsiders also can come here and do it here because we don't punish them. We just watch them do anything that they want. For example, this thing that happened over there, it might be the person is not even from Bono. But because we just watch them do it. If I see my fellow guy doing this, I have to stop him. But they will just be, yeah, do it. Stop. You know, they just support these things. And it's very bad because for the past, before traveling to Europe, it was going on here. You will see things like BA United, they will be throwing stones.
All right, this is actually a former player of Asante Kotoko, Babies inside Brekum. He's been speaking about the, death of Pole and the reaction so far concerning what happened in Nswatre. That's all for sports here on News Tonight. Over to you, Bernice.
Thank you very much, Joel. And that's how we end this edition of News Tonight here on GHOne Television. I'm Bernice Abu-Baidoo, Lansah. I appreciate your company. Do log on to starfm.com.gh for more news. Thanks for your company. Have a good evening.